You think you're ready. You're not. You bought the freeze-dried food. You have the bug-out bag in your closet. Maybe you even moved out of the city. You think that's enough. It's not. Here's what they won't tell you. Location is everything. And if you're in the wrong state when the collapse comes, all your prep work means nothing. Zero. There are 7 states in America that will become kill zones within 48 hours of a grid-down event. Not weeks. Not months. 48 hours. I'm talking about mass death, starvation, violence on a scale we haven't seen since the Civil War. And the worst part? Most preppers are living right in the center of these death traps right now. They think they're safe because they have supplies. They're wrong. Because supplies don't matter when you're surrounded by 10 million desperate people who don't have any. This is about geography, population density, resource scarcity, and something I call the collapse velocity. The collapse velocity is how fast a region goes from normal to nightmare. In some places, you'll have weeks to adapt. In these 7 states, you'll have hours, not days. Hours. Let me be clear. I don't care if you believe me. I don't care if this hurts your feelings because you just bought a house in one of these states. I care about reality. And the reality is this. When the system breaks, these 7 states will eat themselves alive before the first week is over. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you exactly which states make up the kill zone. I'm going to explain why each one is a death trap, and I'm going to give you the math, the brutal, simple math that proves it. Then I'm going to tell you what the pros are doing about it. Not the YouTube preppers. The real ones. The ones who've been planning for this for 20 years. But first, you need to understand the framework. The death radius protocol. Every location in America has a death radius. This is the distance that desperate people will travel on foot when the trucks stop rolling and the grid goes black. Most people think it's 10 miles. Maybe 20. It's not. The real number is 72 miles. Why 72? Because that's how far a desperate human can walk in 3 days with minimal water and no food. And 3 days is exactly how long it takes for a city to go from uncomfortable to violent. Day 1. Confusion. People wait for help. Day 2. Panic. Stores are empty. People start moving. Day 3. Predation. They're now in your neighborhood. If you live within 72 miles of a major metro area, you are inside the death radius. You are in the flood zone, and you will not be able to stop what's coming toward you. Now let's add the second variable, population pressure. Population pressure is how many people are competing for the same resources in the same space. It's measured in people per square mile. Anything over 500 people per square mile is a red flag. Anything over Tibians is a death sentence. Why? Because when the supply chain breaks, those people don't disappear. They don't politely starve in place. They move, they hunt, they take. And here's the key. It doesn't matter if you have a year's worth of food in your basement. If you're surrounded by 10,000 hungry people, you have a target on your back. You're not a prepper. You're a loot drop. Now the third variable. This one kills more preppers than anything else. I call it the choke point. A choke point is any geographic feature that traps you. Bridges, tunnels, mountain passes, ferry routes. If you need to cross one of these to escape, you're already dead. Because when the panic starts, these places don't become exits. They become parking lots. Steel cages filled with 10,000 cars and no way out. Remember Hurricane Rita in 2005? People sat in traffic for 18 hours trying to evacuate Houston. They ran out of gas on the highway. Some died from heat stroke in their own cars. That was with the grid still running, with gas stations still open, with police still directing traffic. Now imagine that same evacuation with none of that. No gas, no cops, no rules. You're not evacuating. You're dying in your car while someone else decides whether you're worth robbing. So here's the formula. Pay attention. Death radius plus population pressure plus choke points. Kill zone if a state has all three. It's not a place you can prep your way out of. It's a tomb. And there are 7 states in America that check every single box. Let's go through them. Kill zone. Number 1. New Jersey is the most densely populated state in America. Over 1,200 people per square mile. Think about that. Every square mile of this state forests, parks, farmland included, averages 1,200 human beings. Now remove the food supply. The average American has 3 days of food in their house, maybe less. When the trucks stop, New Jersey has 72 hours before it becomes a horror show. Except it's real, and they're hungry. But here's the real nightmare. New Jersey sits between 2 massive metro areas. New York City to the north, Philadelphia to the south. That's 28 million people in the surrounding blast zone. And when they start moving, where do you think they're going? Into New Jersey. You might say, I'll just leave. I'll bug out. To where? Every exit from New Jersey is a bridge or a tunnel. The George Washington Bridge, the Lincoln Tunnel, the Ben Franklin Bridge. These aren't exits, they're kill boxes. You'll sit in a line of 50,000 vehicles with nowhere to go. And when people realize they're trapped, that's when the real violence starts. Carjackings, shootings, families dragged out of SUVs. New Jersey isn't a state, it's a cage. And if you're still there when the door closes, you're not getting out. Kill zone. Number 2. Florida. Florida is where preppers go to die quietly. They think they're being smart. I'll move to Florida. Low taxes, warm weather. I can grow food year-round. Wrong. Florida is a peninsula. That's a polite word for trap. There is one way out of Florida, by land. 1. Interstate 75 and Interstate 95 merge into a single northern corridor. If you're in South Florida, you have to funnel through Central Florida to escape. That's 22 million people trying to fit through a 50-mile wide gap. It's not an evacuation route. It's a meat grinder. Every hurricane season, Floridians get a preview of what collapse looks like. They sit on I-75 for 12 hours just to move 60 miles. That's with the system still functioning. Now turn off the power. Turn off the gas pumps. Turn off the 911 system. You're not evacuating. You're already dead. But I'll go off-road. I'll take back roads. Into what? Swamps? The Everglades? Florida has no public land to retreat into. It's either private property, swamp, or theme parks. You can't bug out into Disney World. And even if you could move, there's a bigger problem. Water. Florida's water table is 6 inches below the surface. That means no basements. No wells in most areas. No water storage underground. You're dependent on the municipal system. When the power goes out, the pumps stop. No pumps. No clean water. You'll have oceans on every side and nothing safe to drink. Within 96 hours, dehydration starts killing people. The elderly go first. Then the children. And here's the kicker. Florida has the second oldest population in America. Over 20% of the state is retirement age. These people can't walk 72 miles. They can't defend themselves. They can't adapt. They're victims on a timer. And the younger, stronger people around them know it. You might be thinking, I live in a gated community. I'll be fine. No, you won't. Gates don't stop mobs. They stop solicitors. When 10,000 hungry people show up, your rent-a-cop security guard isn't dying for you. He's going home to his own family. And that gate you paid extra for? It's now a symbol that you have something worth taking. Florida is a kill zone because it combines every fatal variable: high population density, zero escape routes, no water security, and a built-in catastrophic failure point. The people who stay will die of thirst, heat, or violence. In that order. Kill zone. Number 3. California is the big one. Not because of earthquakes. Because of mass. 40 million people. Most of them crammed into 3 mega regions: Los Angeles, the Bay Area, and San Diego. Let's do the brutal math. California imports 50% of its food. It imports 85% of its energy. And despite being on the coast, Southern California imports water from hundreds of miles away. See those aqueducts? See the California Aqueduct, the Los Angeles Aqueduct, the Colorado River Pipeline? Those require electricity to pump water uphill. No power, no water. Los Angeles has a 3-day water reserve. 3 days. After that, 13 million people have nothing to drink. But it's California. They'll fix it. With what? The state is $73 billion in debt. Its infrastructure is graded D+ by engineers. The power grid fails during a hot summer day right now with everything still functioning. What do you think happens when it doesn't come back on? Here's what happens. Day 1, confusion. People charge their phones in their cars. They wait. Day 2, panic. Stores are looted. Gas stations are drained. Fights break out over bottled water. Day 3, migration. People start walking. Not to safety, just away. And here's the part nobody talks about. Where do they go? East. They'll move into Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Oregon. Millions of them. And those states aren't prepared for a refugee crisis of that scale. Nobody is. You think the locals in rural Nevada are going to welcome 100,000 starving Californians walking through their town? No. They're going to defend their resources with force. California doesn't just kill the people inside it. It poisons every state around it. It's not a kill zone. It's a contagion zone. And if you're thinking, I'll leave early, I'm smart. Remember, so is everyone else. The difference between survival and death isn't your gear. It's your timing. And if you're waiting for proof that it's really happening, you've already waited too long. Kill zone number 4. Massachusetts is the kill zone that people forget about. It's small, educated, wealthy, and completely doomed. Population density, 901 people per square mile. That's the third highest in the nation. But the real problem isn't Boston. It's the Boston metro area, which includes 4.9 million people in a 50-mile radius. Remember the death radius? 72 miles? There is almost nowhere in Massachusetts that's outside the death radius of a major city. You're always in the flood zone. And it gets worse. Massachusetts has brutal winters. I'm not talking about inconvenient snow. I'm talking about the White Death. When the grid goes down in January and your heat stops, you have 48 hours before your pipes freeze. Another 24 hours before hypothermia starts killing the vulnerable. No power means no heat. No heat means death. And you can't just burn wood. Most of Massachusetts is suburban. Homes are close together. If you start burning furniture or wood inside without proper ventilation, you'll die of carbon monoxide poisoning before you freeze. But let's say you're smart. You have a wood stove. You stocked firewood. Great. Now you're the only house on the block with smoke coming out of the chimney. Guess where everyone else is going? You're not a survivor. You're a beacon. And here's the math that kills you. Massachusetts has 2.8 million housing units. Maybe 15% have wood stoves or fireplaces. That's 420,000 homes with heat. What about the other 2.4 million? They freeze. Or they take yours. I'll go to the woods. I'll camp. In January, in New England, you'll be dead in 3 days. Hypothermia doesn't care about your YouTube bushcraft skills. And the forests in Massachusetts aren't empty wilderness. They're state parks surrounded by suburbs. You'll be camping next to 10,000 other people who have the same idea. Massachusetts is a kill zone because it combines coastal density with northern climate. You can't escape the people, and you can't escape the cold. One will kill you fast. The other will kill you slow. Maryland is the state that nobody sees coming. It's sandwiched between two of the most important targets in America, Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. Washington, D.C. is the capital. It's also the priority zone for federal resources during a crisis. That sounds good, right? Protection, order, martial law. Wrong. When D.C. goes into lockdown, Maryland becomes the buffer zone, the place where millions of people get stuck between the protected capital and everywhere else. You're not inside the safe zone. You're outside it, locked out. And the people running from Baltimore? They're heading your way. Baltimore has one of the highest violent crime rates in America. Over 300 murders a year in a city of 600,000 people. That's with police, with a functioning system. Now remove the system. What do you think happens? The violence doesn't stay in the city. It moves. It spreads. It follows the highways into the suburbs, into the rural counties, into your neighborhood. And here's the trap. Maryland is a narrow state. It's pinched in the middle. If you're in the populated corridor between D.C. and Baltimore, you're surrounded. To the west, mountains. Hard to cross without vehicles. To the east, Chesapeake Bay. You're trapped on a peninsula. To the north, Pennsylvania's urban sprawl. To the south, Virginia's military zones and D.C. lockdown. There's no good exit. The Bay Bridge is the only way across the Chesapeake for most people. It's 4 miles long and 2 lanes in each direction. It's also the biggest choke point on the East Coast. During a normal summer weekend, the Bay Bridge backs up for hours. During an evacuation, it's a death trap. You'll be stuck on a bridge with nowhere to go, surrounded by water, while your gas tank drips toward empty. And when the chaos starts, that bridge becomes a shooting gallery. Maryland is a kill zone because of proximity to collapse triggers and geographic entrapment. You're too close to the targets and too far from safety. You're in the worst possible middle. Arizona kills you with heat and math. Phoenix is the 5th largest city in America, over 5 million people in the metro area, and it's in the middle of the Sonoran Desert. In summer, Phoenix hits 115 degrees. That's not an extreme day, that's July. Now turn off the air conditioning. Without AC, Phoenix becomes unlivable in under 24 hours. Not uncomfortable, unlivable. Heat stroke starts at 104 degrees Fair internal body temperature. In a house without air conditioning, in 115-degree heat, you hit that in hours. The elderly die first, then the sick, then the children, then everyone else. I'll go somewhere cooler. Where? You're surrounded by hundreds of miles of desert. The mountains are hours away, and everyone else has the same idea. And here's the water problem. Phoenix gets 90% of its water from the Colorado River and underground aquifers. Both require electricity to pump. No power, no water. The city has a 90-day reserve. That sounds good until you realize it's summer. It's 115 degrees, and 5 million people are now rationing. How long do you think that reserve lasts when people are dying of thirst? It doesn't last 90 days. It lasts until the first riot. Then the distribution system collapses. then it's gone. And when the water runs out in Phoenix, something happens that most people don't think about. Migration. 5 million people can't stay in a desert without water. They have to move. But where? North into Flagstaff? That's a mountain town or 70,000 people. It can't absorb a refugee wave. West into California? California's already collapsing. East into New Mexico? More desert. South into Mexico? You think the Mexican government is letting millions of Americans cross during a collapse? No. They'll close the border. With force. Arizona is a kill zone because it's a desert city that only exists due to artificial life support. The moment that support fails, the clock starts. You don't have weeks, you have days. And if you're thinking, I live in rural Arizona, I'm safe. Remember the death radius. 72 miles. How far are you from Phoenix? If you're inside that circle, you're in the flood zone. And when 5 million thirsty, desperate people start walking, they're not going to politely avoid your property. They're going to take everything you have. Hawaii is the place preppers dream about. Islands, tropical, self-sufficient, right? Wrong. Hawaii is the deadliest kill zone in America. Hawaii imports 90% of its food. Everything arrives by ship. Fuel, medicine, building materials, even livestock feed all imported. The islands produce almost nothing. The average grocery store in Hawaii has a 3-day supply. Maybe 5 if people don't panic. But they will panic, and when they do, the stores will be empty in 48 hours. But Hawaii has farms. They'll grow food. Hawaii has 1.4 million people and 140,000 acres of farmland. Do the math. That's 10 people per acre of farmland. And most of that farmland grows coffee, macadamia nuts, and tropical fruit. Not calories, not staples. You can't survive on pineapples. Here's the real nightmare. You're on an island. You can't leave. There are no roads to the mainland. No bridges. No tunnels. If the supply ships stop coming, you're trapped. I'll take a boat to the mainland. It's 2,500 miles to California. In a small boat with no resupply, no navigation support, and no guarantee you won't be turned away when you arrive. Most people will die trying. And the people who stay, they'll be fighting over the last cans of Spam in a Costco within a week. Hawaii is a kill zone because it's completely dependent on external supply and has 0 escape options. It's a beautiful prison. And when the ships stop coming, it becomes a mass grave. 7 states. Over 100 million people. 0 chance of survival if they stay. Now here's what you're thinking. Okay, I get it. Those states are dangerous. But I have supplies. I have a plan. I'll just hunker down and wait it out. No, you won't. Because you can't prep your way out of geography. It doesn't matter if you have 5 years of food. It doesn't matter if you have guns and ammo. It doesn't matter if you have a bunker. If you're in a kill zone, you're already dead. You're just waiting for the timer to run out. The real preppers, the ones who've been doing this for decades, they figured this out a long time ago. They didn't buy more gear. They moved. And they moved to very specific places based on a very specific formula. The Safe Zone formula. Here's what the pros know. Survival isn't about having the most supplies. It's about being in a place where you need the fewest supplies. A safe zone has 4 characteristics. All 4. Not 3. Not close enough. All 4, or it doesn't count. Safe zone rule number 1. Low population density. You need to be in a county with fewer than 50 people per square mile. Not 60. Not 75. 50 or less. Why? Because at that density, there aren't enough people to form mobs. There aren't enough desperate mouths to strip the region bare in a week. And most importantly, you're outside every major death radius. These places exist, but they're not where you think. They're not in New England, not in the Mid-Atlantic, not in Florida. They're in the Mountain West, the Great Plains, the rural South, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Eastern Oregon, rural Nevada, Northern Michigan. These are the white spaces on the population map, and white space means survival space. Safe zone rule. Number 2. Resource independence. You need water, food, and heat that don't depend on the grid. That means a well or natural spring, not city water. Arable land or hunting territory, not grocery stores. Timber for heat, not natural gas lines. If your water comes from a municipal system, you're dependent. If your food comes from a truck, you're dependent. If your heat comes from a power plant 200 miles away, you're dependent. Dependence is death. The safe zone is where you can live, not comfortably, but live without anything from the outside world for 6 months minimum. Can your current location do that? Be honest. If the answer is no, you're not in a safe zone. You're in a waiting room. Safe zone rule. Number 3. Defensible geography. You need natural barriers. Mountains, rivers, forests, distance. Something that makes it hard for large groups to reach you quickly. The best safe zones are places where the terrain does half the defense for you. A valley with one road in. A region separated by mountain ranges. An area with harsh winters that filter out the unprepared. The White Death isn't just a threat, it's a filter. If you can survive the winter without the grid, most people can't reach you. And the ones who try, they don't make it. Cold is cruel. But it's also a defense system. Safe zone rule. Number 4. Community over bunker. Here's the thing that survival fantasists get wrong. You can't do this alone. The lone wolf dies. Every time. You need a community, not a city. Not neighbors you've never met. A real community. People who know each other. People who help each other. People who will defend each other when things get bad. The safe zone isn't a bunker in the woods. It's a small town of 500 to 2,000 people in a rural county with shared values and skills. Why? Because you can't guard your property 24 hours a day. You can't grow all your food. You can't fix everything that breaks. You can't deliver your own baby or set your own broken bone. You need other people, but you need the right people. The pros aren't building bunkers. They're building relationships in low-density regions with the infrastructure to survive without outside help. That's the formula. The relocation. Protocol. So where do you go? Here are the regions that check all 4 boxes. The Redoubt Zone, Eastern Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. Low population, lots of water, hunting and farmland, defensible terrain, and a culture of self-reliance. The Plains Buffer, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas. Flat, but empty. Excellent farmland. Harsh winters that keep the unprepared out. Tight-knit communities. The Ozark Corridor, southern Missouri, northern Arkansas. Forested, hilly. Springs everywhere. Cheap land. People who still know how to live without Walmart. The Upper Peninsula, northern Michigan, northern Wisconsin. Surrounded by water. Isolated. Brutal winters. Hunting, fishing, timber, small population. These aren't vacation destinations. They're survival locations. And if you're serious about making it through what's coming, you need to be in one of these zones before 2026. Why 2026? Because that's the convergence point. That's when multiple systems start failing at the same time. The debt bubble, the grid vulnerabilities, the supply chain fragility, the political instability. It's all on a collision course. And when it hits, the kill zones will light up like dominoes. You don't want to be inside when that happens. The movement window. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You probably won't move. You'll read this. You'll nod your head. You'll think, yeah, that makes sense. And then you'll do nothing. Why? Because moving is hard. It's expensive. It's scary. You have a job, a mortgage, kids in school, family nearby. I get it. But comfort is the enemy of survival. Every day you stay in a kill zone because it's convenient is a day closer to the point where leaving becomes impossible. There's a window. Right now, that window is open. You can sell your house. You can find work remotely or in a small town. You can move your family before the panic starts. But that window is closing. When the market crashes, you can't sell. When the grid fails, you can't move. When the chaos starts, you can't escape. The time to move is when you don't have to, not when you're forced to. The pros moved 5 years ago. Some moved 10 years ago. They're already there, already set up. They're not prepping. They're living. And when the collapse comes, they won't even notice the first few weeks. Because they're already independent. You can be too. But not if you wait. The final filter. There are 2 types of people watching this video right now. The first type is nodding along. They're thinking, this is interesting, good information. Then they'll click away and forget about it by tomorrow. The second type feels something different. A knot in their stomach. A realization. They're inside a kill zone right now. And they know it. The question is, what are you going to do about it? You can rationalize it. You can tell yourself you're different. You're prepared. You have a plan. But plans don't stop geography, and geography doesn't care about your rationalizations. Here's what's going to happen. Most people will stay exactly where they are. They'll add another month of food to the garage. They'll buy another gun. They'll watch another YouTube video. And they'll feel prepared. They'll feel safe. Right up until the moment the trucks stop rolling. Right up until the moment the power doesn't come back on. Right up until the moment their neighbor's kids haven't eaten in 3 days. Then they'll realize that all their supplies just made them the richest target on the block. And by then, it's too late to move. The roads are packed. The gas is gone. The chaos has already started. The window is closed, and they're trapped. The Sarvars Paradox. Here's the paradox. The people who survive collapse are the ones who move before they have proof they need to. They act on probability, not certainty. They don't wait for confirmation. They don't wait for the news to tell them it's real, because by the time everyone knows, everyone moves. And when everyone moves at once, nobody gets out. The survivors are already gone. They left when their friends called them paranoid, when their family said they were overreacting, when their coworkers laughed at them. They left anyway, because they understood something that most people never figure out. Being early looks the same as being wrong, right up until it doesn't. And then, suddenly, you're the smartest person anyone knows. Except by then, they can't reach you. You're already 300 miles away in a place they've never heard of, living a life they can't imagine. You're unreachable, and that's exactly the point. The choice. So here's your choice. You can stay where you are. You can keep stacking supplies in your suburban home. You can tell yourself that when the time comes, you'll just bug out. You can believe that. Or you can look at the map, look at the math, look at the death radius around your home, and you can make the hard choice. You can sell the house. You can leave the job. You can move your family to a place that doesn't make sense to anyone else, a place that's too remote, too cold, too boring, a place where there's nothing to do on a Friday night, a place where your kids will complain about the internet speed, a place that will keep them alive. Because here's the thing about survival. It's not exciting. It's not glamorous. It's not an adventure. It's boring. It's uncomfortable. It's filled with sacrifice. You give up convenience for security. You give up entertainment for independence. You give up comfort for survival. And most people aren't willing to make that trade. Not yet. Not until they have to. But by then, the trade isn't available anymore. By then, you don't get to choose survival. You get to choose how you die. The last warning, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to save you. There's a difference. Fear makes you freeze. Knowledge makes you move. And the knowledge is this. The kill zones are real. The death radius is real. The math is real. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a doomer porn. This is simple logistics. The system that feeds 330 million Americans is 3 days deep and 1,000 miles long. When it breaks, not if, when the places with the most people will become the most dangerous. It's not personal. It's not punishment. It's just math. And you can't argue with math. The protocol. If you're inside a kill zone right now, here's your protocol. Step 1. Acknowledge reality. Stop lying to yourself about how it won't be that bad, or people will help each other. Some will, most won't. Step 2. Calculate your death radius. Find the nearest city over 500,000 people. Draw a 72-mile circle around it. Are you inside? Then you're in the flood zone. Step 3. Identify your choke points. How many bridges, tunnels, or mountain passes do you need to cross to escape? Each one is a failure point. Step 4. Run the numbers. How many people per square mile in your county? How many days of food does your region produce versus consume? Be honest. Step 5. If you fail 3 or more of these tests, start planning your exit. Not someday. Now. Step 6. Research safe zone regions. Visit them. Meet people. Find work. Buy land. Step 7. Move before you think you need to. That's the whole game. It's that simple. And that hard. The line. There's a line. On one side, the people who moved early, who sacrificed comfort for position, who listened when everyone else laughed. On the other side, the people who waited, who hoped for the best, who thought they could prep their way out of geography. When the collapse comes, that line becomes permanent. You don't get to cross it afterward. You don't get a do-over. The people on the right side of that line survive. The people on the wrong side become statistics. Which side are you on right now? And more importantly, which side will you be on in 2026? The final word. This is the part where I'm supposed to give you hope. Tell you it'll all be okay. Tell you that if you just follow these steps, you'll be fine. I'm not going to do that. Because hope without action is just denial with better marketing. The truth is, most of you won't move. You'll have 100 reasons why you can't. And they'll all feel valid. Right up until they're irrelevant. The few who do move, the 1% who take this seriously, you'll be the ones telling stories 10 years from now. Stories about the chaos you avoided, the death you escaped, the decision that saved your family. And everyone else will ask you the same question. How did you know? And you'll tell them the truth. I didn't know. I just didn't wait to find out. The Cole. If you want to survive what's coming, you need information that nobody else is giving you. Not prepper fantasy. Not fear porn. Real intelligence. Real strategies. Real locations. This channel is for the 1%. The people who move before they have to. The people who see the map and understand the math. The people who are already planning their exit. Subscribe if you're serious. Ignore this if you're not. Either way, the timeline doesn't change. The kill zones don't care about your denial, and neither do I. The question isn't whether the collapse is coming. The question is where you'll be when it does. Choose wisely. The clock is already running.